supposed to switch.
There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. And damn, what a hell of a view. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date. You're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight. Don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase. So catch me if I fall.
And welcome, Sean. There you are. What are you doing here? Oh, wait. You're supposed to be here, aren't you? I'm supposed to be here. It's all the other people out there that we're waiting for, right?
Yep.
Cool. So I like the intro. I like the countdown. And based on that video, that intro video, countdown video, I would say that those are some California roads. You know why I'm saying that, Sean?
Why?
Because there's damn potholes in those roads. I don't know if anyone else saw that, but that's what the roads here in California looks like. And ooh, suddenly I'm getting into political territory. My disdain and contempt for California, despite living here my whole life, and the inadequacy of our government to actually fix and repair, despite all the endless taxes we pay. Howdy from Australia, Aaron. Right on, Aaron, which sounds so much like Darren. Hey, thanks for joining in, Aaron. Hey, Sean, I think you've got some videos queued up for us today. Do you not?
That is correct.
That's cool. I'm looking forward to it. And I saw a very tiny trailer into one of them. And I think, actually they're all labeled independently, right? As in, if I'm correct, you told me that these are all from TikTok. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, just as a little disclaimer, I never go on TikTok, but I know enough about it to know they're basically short little clips, right?
Yes.
Do they have a time constraint? Like, for example, Instagram, aren't there little shorts or whatever they call them on Instagram? Aren't they limited to 1 minute only? Or is that different now?
It's different now. They go all the way up to 5 minutes now.
Okay. So with TikTok, is it still 1 minute?
They go all the way up to 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. What type of wax would you use on a 2000 Black Tahoe original paint? Well, honestly, Janet Bishop, you could use just about any type of wax you want. And let me clarify that, because I know that's not the answer you wanted to hear. So there's different types of waxes and how they're labeled that will suggest like, oh, this wax is specially formulated for black paint or whatever. There's endless marketing hype. The point is that's just marketing hype. So first, you don't worry about that. Secondly, it's like, well, how often do you want to wax your car? I suspect you want to wax it less often rather than more often, which means you're going to then look for a wax, or maybe that would be your follow-up question to me, is I could say, Meguiar's Ultimate Quick Wax. And really, Janet, that would be my simplest answer to you is, just Meguiar's Ultimate Quick Wax. Why do I say that? Well, because most people are familiar with Meguiar's. They actually do make really good products, and they're easy to get. You can get them on Amazon. Most places, as in stores, brick and mortar stores, sell Meguiar's. So it's an easy product to find. It's very user-friendly. They have non-staining formulations, which might be a little confusing because if I'm talking about a specific product, which I kind of am, this is kind of a segue into this moment, which is, oh wait, Meguiar's makes more than one ultimate quick wax or ultimate wax, which they do. So for example, that's where it then circles back around to, oh, how often do you want to wax your car? Well, as little as possible, Darren, because it's hard work. I agree it is. So what I would recommend is, first off, you don't just wax your car, you clay it first. You might know it as detailing clay, the clay bar, whatever. That will prepare the surface. Now, don't underestimate that. It's very important. You don't have to do it, but I highly, highly recommend you do it because your end results will be better. Because using the clay bar will remove all that little gritty feel on your paint. So if you wash your car and you slide your hand across it, it probably will not feel very smooth. You're going to want to fix that because really, since you're a woman, and I'm basing that based on your icon, Janet Bishop, think of the detailing clay like exfoliating your skin. It's going to deep clean the paint. And it's a little marketing jargon there, but it really does do that. So it removes those surface bonded contaminants and prepares the surface. Then you wax it. Now, what I would recommend is that you get, for example, the Meguiar's Ultimate Paste Wax. You apply that as your base coat, and that will last you based on weather conditions, how long you let... Oh, that's cool, Sean. There you go. So, for example, Janet, on the top left, top right, left-hand side, you've got a picture of the liquid version and the paste version. They both work. They're both really good. And that's really a preferential moment. Do you prefer the liquid? Do you prefer the paste? I personally prefer the paste because I find that I get a little more control with it when I'm using it with an applicator pad. So apply that, and then whatever you want to wait. A month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. Everyone's going to have a different opinion as to how long it will last. Mostly that depends on you moving forward, as in how you take care of your car. How do you wash it? Do you take it to a commercial car wash? Whatever. So then you have over to the right in the full-size picture is the Ultimate Quick Wax. Now that I love, love, love. Well, I love them both. I just love them for different reasons. So that quick wax, you get that also. And back in the day, I literally would wax my car every single week. It was a black car. I've had many black cars, but my most recent was a full-size GMC Denali black. Pain in the butt, but boy, did it look good when it was done. So you apply the paste wax as the foundation. Wait till you decide it's ready to wax your car again, or what you will realize is that nothing looks better than a freshly washed and waxed black car. Therefore, even if you just put that ultimate wax on your car the week before, you're going to be like, oh man, I want to wax it again because it looks so great, even though it doesn't technically need it. But that's where the quick wax comes in because it's so easy to use. It's way quicker, hence the name of the product. It's way quicker than applying the paste wax. So that quick wax will not only give you superior looking results than just washing it, but it will help extend that base coat of wax. How's that for an answer for you, Janet, in like 600 words or less? All right, Arnold Santiago. Yes, Arnold's back. You recognize that, Sean?
I do.
Sean?
I do. I had to unmute it.
What brands have the hardest clear coat? Japanese made has soft clear coat, right? You know what? There is an answer to that. And I do have an opinion. I'm digging in my memory. So what I can tell you is this, and this is from experience. In my opinion, the softest clear coat so far that I have experienced would be Tesla. Like seriously, it's soft. And that's mostly the good news, because when I'm doing some polishing or wet sanding, like those sanding marks or scratches or imperfections, they came out. You're welcome, Janet. Those imperfections will come out so easy compared to other clear coats. And I would say that, for example, who has some hard clear coat?
Well, I recently watched this video
Yeah.
where most manufacturers, when they paint their cars,
Yeah.
only around 60 to 70% of the paint or the clear coat stays in the car. The rest bounces off. And Toyota just came out with a new method that sticks 90% of the paint.
Yeah, and you know what? I have, and this is where Tom Horvath comes in, is because he has access to that industry, and even him, meaning, how do I describe this? That most car manufacturers want, it's like, what do they call that in the industry? It's a proprietary information. So, for example, they don't want their secrets out into the world, which can mean anything. How they actually apply the paint, who are they sourcing the paint from, how thick is the clear coat going on. None of that information they're going to make known to the public. So whenever anyone speculates on that, first off, that's what they're doing. They're speculating because there's no way they know. Literally, unless you are in that shop, and even people that are working in the shop, as far as the painting cars, even they aren't going to know because they don't want the public to know. So, for example, there are different methods manufacturers can do to apply paint. Most car manufacturers, and this is as per Tom Horvath, who actually has been invited into the shops because they were looking to use his polish to use in their shops, in their manufacturing. So he had access to a degree that most people would not, myself included. So I'm getting this intel from him. And even him, they were very selective as to what they would let him know about their processes. So for example, a lot of cars now, to the way they paint them, like I suspect most of us have seen the commercial, or not commercials, the videos where they have a robotic arm that's laying the paint. Have you seen those, Sean?
Yes.
And the body of the car, they show it dipping it into a process that I don't remember what they call it, but it has to do with rust protection. So they want to treat the metal first. So they dip it into a bath, but everything's automated. So it's got these big machines that send the car body all into the bath. Then it goes in the next stage, and then you see the robotic arms shooting the paint. Okay, I am of the opinion that's old school technology. Now they're doing what's called powder coating, which is electrostatic painting. So what they do is they hook a charge up to the ferrous materials, and I say ferrous versus metal because a lot of cars are now made with aluminum versus true iron ore material. But what they do is they send an electrical charge through it, and then they float the paint, or not the paint, it's actually a powder. It adheres. Think of it like a static charge, and it adheres. And what's really cool about that is that you don't have to get the spray pattern exactly right as far as hitting it, because once you emit the powder, the static cling will pull into every crevice and every nuance of that body. So when you say like, oh, only 60 to 70% of it hits the paint, it's like, yeah, could be true, but we would really have to know and understand how they're actually applying the paint. So like everything else in life, technology enters the picture and it changes things. And the industry, they either embrace it or they're late to embrace it, but eventually they do. So that's just a world that is kept secret for most of us because they just don't want you to know. For example, a lot of detailers will talk about how thick the clear is. Oh, and this kind of speaks to what your question was, Arnold, about who has the hardest clear coat. Okay, you could actually quantify that pretty easily. You could take, there's a test you can do, and this is where the whole world of ceramic coatings come in, and they'll use a hardness factor of like 4H and 5H and 7H, which, by the way, none of us even knows what that means. The only reason I know what it means is because I looked it up, and then I also realized that they're using the same rating scale that when I was in drafting back in the 80s in high school, we had drafting pencils that were rated like 2H, 4H, 5H. So the lower the number was, the softer that lead in the pencil was. So there's sometimes when you're doing sketching, you want a softer lead in the pencil. But when you're doing fine lines, precision drawing for the actual drafting, you want a much harder lead. And so you would buy pencils based on that rating. That's the same rating system that they do with ceramic coatings. Now, whether it's legit or not, that's a separate conversation. Anyhow, so to come back around, when guys, whether it's detailers or YouTube detailers, whatever, and they say, oh, Japanese car manufacturers, they have really, really thin clear coat. Okay, first off, how would you verify that? And secondly, are you talking about every Japanese car or only some of the Japanese cars? Or do you actually mean Asian cars, like Asian cars that are made in other countries other than Japan? You know, so it's just, I don't know. There's a lot of bad information out there, and people just like to repeat unverified information all in the name of sounding like an expert. Anyhow, so that's my opinion on soft versus hard clear coats. Really, to speak to that again, Tesla definitely has the softest clear coat I personally have ever polished on. Hardest, I feel like most clear coats are pretty hard. I can't really say one particular brand because I have worked on a lot of custom cars that are non-OE clear coats, and there are some seriously hard clear coats. In fact, Sean, it's a little FYI, when I met with Tom last, we were talking about a new clear that they have produced that is super hard and crazy expensive. We're talking $1,000 for a gallon of clear coat, which
Wow.
to you guys probably means very little because you think like you would have nothing to compare it to. So to put that in context, first off, most clear coats do not cost that much. You can get clear coats, I don't know, probably under $100 a gallon. Let's say a good clear coat might be a couple $100. But then Tom, because he does custom painting also, he likes this new technology, but he's not really willing to spend $1,000 on the absolutely top of the line, hardest clear. But he is willing to spend $600 on a really nice updated version. And this is, like I was saying earlier, technology, it just infiltrates every industry, which is mostly the good news because it makes our lives better in most cases. So there just isn't anything that's not going to continue to improve as technology improves. And the industry decides to embrace it. And it's kind of a matter of how soon do they embrace it or not. So anyhow, so Sean, I don't see anyone else chiming in.
Are you ready to
Yeah, let's
watch
take a
some
look at
videos?
that first video if we can.
Okay, I just want to. Okay, 1 second.
Boar hair brushes, so let's test it out today on this.
Wait, can you actually rewind that? Because I feel like when you previewed that for me before we started going live, that there was a title to it, something about like awesome tips or what have you.
Oh, that was a different video.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I can go back.
Oh yeah, that was the tire dressing one.
Yeah, I can go back.
Yeah, can you go back?
Pro
That-
tip
oh,
number
there it
1,
is. Genius.
using a brush to shine the tires.
Can you pause
This
that
one
at
is a
any
game
moment?
changer.
Yes.
Like right there, genius. Like How's that for new clickbait or the newest hyperbole? And for example, because I've been on YouTube for, I don't know, let's say over 10 years, and I've seen how it has evolved, and I've seen how people, at least in this industry or this niche of detailing, where it used to be where you could just announce a video or title a video like how to clean your car leather or how to clean a windshield. And then a guy like Chris Fix decides to, hey, there's this cool thing called clickbait. So now I'm not just going to clean my windshield. I'm going to super clean it, or I'm going to deep clean it, or I'm going to super duper deep clean it. It's like, oh my gosh, my brain's going to melt. So when I see this label and he says genius, like that's the first time I've heard that adjective attached to the world of detailing. Anyhow, so sorry, I had to drone on a moment.
No, you're good.
My contempt for the industry that I'm part of.
That's fine. That's the whole point of these videos. You say whatever you
So
want.
actually I've already seen enough seconds of it, and I emphasize seconds because that's all it takes. The second I see a guy go to a brush to apply dressing, I'm going to say that's the opposite of genius.
That's the point
And
of it. Yeah.
what's that?
I'm just saying that's what makes this video great, because is the opposite of what you would do.
Yeah, and it's not just because it's a preferential thing where some guys say, "Oh, I just prefer the brush." For example, here's a true story. There's a guy there is a professional detailer on YouTube. I will not call him by name, but he is there, and he has a big following. I have personally worked with him. Now, one of the few times, or at the very beginning, the few first initial times I worked with him, I saw him apply dressing with a brush. Now, what I want to do is make a distinction. So this guy's working on what's called a low profile tire. That is a performance. I don't even know what kind of car that is. That wheel looks familiar, although I can't pick it out of my head. But the point is that's a low profile tire.
Here's why.
Most cars,
Sorry.
does that say Bugatti on that front caliper? Which really wouldn't make sense.
Bugatti.
I mean,
Well,
that could be a Bugatti, I guess.
It looks like the body is like
Carbon fiber.
carbon fiber. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, so it's a low profile tire, which is why he's reaching for what most of us would consider a lug nut brush or a detailing brush. So most of us have tall sidewalls. And so let me make a comparison to the car washes, because this is what the car washes will do, because it is faster. What they will do is they'll take like can you pull up one of those brushes, Sean? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's a standard wheel brush. Like you could pull up Auto Geek, or, I mean, do you know what? They typically have green bristles, and it's got a short little handle on it. Okay, if you can't find it, no big deal. So that's what the car washes do, is they will take a big brush like that, and they'll just pour a bunch of dressing into the bristles, and then they'll just slop it onto on your tire sidewall, and fruit really quickly. Now your tire's just dressed. But the problem is all this excess dressing is on your tire, and it's just a lazy man's quick way to, oh, perfect. So you see top row, actually bottom left corner, that's exactly the brush. Even though it's got a black handle, the more popular ones are the tan handles, but that brush right there, that's what the car washes use. So they'll pour the dressing onto the bristles, and they'll just slather the whole sidewall with those bristles, and it makes a big fat mess. It's super fast, super quick. That's why they do it, but it's low budget, and it's a lazy way to do it, because now you have all this excess dressing on your sidewalls. And what's going to happen when you drive off? And that's one of the biggest complaints I hear from my customers or people in general, is when they get the dressing on the tires. And it's to the point where most people say, like, don't dress my tires. That's one of the reasons they don't want them to dress the tires at the car wash, is because they do a sloppy ass job, and then all that excess dressing slings up onto the side of their car, and it looks like garbage. And now you just paid for a car wash, and then you drive, 500 feet down the street. Now you've got all these black specks on the side of your car. Not good. So when this guy says genius way, what was it called again? Genius something?
Yeah, you gotta watch the other tips so you can
It's like,
review it.
oh my gosh. All right, you can move on.
You gotta watch a couple more.
Yeah, you can.
Most people use a sponge applicator, which
There's a
make your
reason we
hands
use it
slimy
because
and
it's
oily.
better.
Furthermore, these things are nearly impossible to clean.
Wow, look at that disgust
The
and
tire
that
shine
shock.
brush will allow you to apply an even layer of tire shine while keeping
No,
your
won't.
hands clean.
An even
Moreover,
layer?
it
No,
can allow
won't.
you to get to that lower portion of the tire, and it is super easy to
Okay,
clean.
yes,
and
it
a lot
will
more
get the
durable
lower
too.
portion of the tire
Pro
while
tip number one.
simultaneously applying it to the asphalt that lays below that tire.
Well, actually, so I will say that it looks like it's all about editing. And
Yeah,
if you saw-
he selective edits.
yeah, and if you see it as an editor, I can see that it's dripping everywhere, but he cut it just in time before it dripped on the wheel.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it makes it look all
so
fancy.
I'm going to call that.
Fail.
Well, I will definitely say it failed. The problem is if you're a beginner, you would look at that and say, wow, that makes sense. That sounds like a good idea. In fact, that may actually be genius of this guy. But me as an experienced person, I'd be like, no, that's basically fail at every level. The only winning attribute of that is that, yes, those bristles allow you to get where the tire meets how can I do this? Yeah, so this is the asphalt and the tire bulges. So you got this little wedge in here that's really hard to get it. And honestly, if you're really a perfectionist, I'm going to rotate the wheel so that this area is now at the top and I can get that last little area that you would need something to wedge in there. But Sean, can you pull up the grout sponge on Amazon?
Yeah.
I introduced this applicator to the world of detailing. Well, because I was using this applicator before I had my YouTube channel. So I've been using this method probably 15 plus years. And when I say method, I mean this particular tool. It's a craft grout sponge. It's not even part of the detailing world. And that's what I found in my pursuit of the most effective and efficient ways. Okay, you need to look up craft turtleback grout sponge.
Okay.
Craft is the brand name. It's KRFT. AFT, yeah. Turtleback grout sponge. So this is a tool. That's what I was saying. I have found that in my pursuit to find the perfect tools, so often I had to go outside of my industry, which is very frustrating, by the way. Like I shouldn't have to go outside of my industry. There it is, top left-hand corner. And by the way, one of the additional winning moments of this is that it's a 2-for-1 deal. So I cut it in half. So that rounded part, the top apex of that sponge, you cut it at the top. So now you got two. And you see how it creates a little wedge where it comes to a point? That little point then allows you to get inside that area between the tire sidewall and the pavement, and without getting dressing on the pavement. And so that is a winning attribute. Never mind that so what I do is I cut that in half. I decide one half is going to be my dedicated dressing sponge. I get it completely wet. So it's dripping wet. Then I squeeze out all the excess water. So now it's just damp. Now I apply my choice of dressing directly to the face, the flat part, which is face down on this picture. I apply it to the face, and then I've got complete control. And then I use that pointed edge, that wedge part of that sponge to finesse between the sidewall of the tire and the wheel itself, as well as the asphalt or the pavement and the tire itself. So that is the winning tool, in my opinion. I would call that genius, not that brush. That brush, that guy's a hack. Sorry, D, but that is the opposite of genius. I would use Fuso car wax. I suspect Clint's 8888 that you might be responding to Janet Bishop on the Black Tahoe. I've never even heard of Fuso, so I can't comment on that. I suspect it works perfectly fine. And that's really my opinion with, I would say at a blanket statement, 80% of the products on the market that are sold at a retail level are good. Like, you will get good results with them. And honestly, most people don't really have enough experience to make a comparison. So they're going to use it and they're going to be like, wow, this stuff's really good. Like, yeah, stop there. Just continue to use it. They have it at Walmart or order online. Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of it. Fuso, which is not a surprise because the industry is constantly coming out with new products. So you have a second video for us, Sean?
I do.
Cool.
These are the Viking boar hair brushes, so let's test it out today on this nasty steering wheel. So I put some interior detail cleaner on, and I'm just going to...
Oh, wow. Sean, you knew exactly where I was going to go on this, didn't you?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, this guy's just challenged. Sorry, dude. That ain't going to work. Will it work on a clean steering wheel? Absolutely. But therein lies the operative word, a clean steering wheel. Those bristles are way too soft.
Let's dry it
and
off.
this is just performance detailing, all in the name of TikTok. I'm going to make this cool video, and I'm going to use this brush, and I'm going to look like a pro. And it's like, dude, first off, the steering wheel is already clean. Secondly, I know through experience if that steering wheel was actually as dirty as most steering wheels are that detailers have to deal with, there's going to be a ton of dirt on that thing. There's no way that brush is going to be effective. And as compared to something like a scrub pad or a stiffer brush that will actually prove to be effective. So I'm going to give that a big colossal fail.
Good. You ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
6 detailing tips that every detailer must know. Tip number 1, always start
Dude,
with the wheels.
are these
The
all from
dirtiest
Asia
part,
or
and you
what?
don't-
I don't know where they're from. I think he's Australian, maybe.
I don't know that accent is like,
want any
I
of
don't
that
know what
grime
this guy's
splashing
saying.
onto your freshly coated bodywork. Also, using a non-acid based wheel cleaner will prevent damage to your alloys, so don't forget wheels first.
Yeah,
So
he
tip
sounds
number 2,
Australian.
let me introduce you to my secret weapon, the microfiber towel. So, why are these so amazing? They're plush, super absorbent, and most importantly, they're gentle on your car's surfaces. These towels can absorb water,
Yeah, unless
remove
you're,
wax
like,
or ceiling,
scrubbing
clean
the
glass
dirt
without
right into the
streaks, and
paint.
dust off interiors without leaving lint behind. Now, let's get into tip number 3, clay bars. You might be wondering, clay bars, really? But trust me, it's like the golden ticket to a glass-like finish. The clay picks up contaminants that normal washing can't, making your car's surface super smooth, primed and ready for waxing or polishing. Just remember to use a lubricant with the clay bar to avoid scratching the paint. On to tip number 4, wax on and then, well, wax off. Wax doesn't just give your car that just off the lot shine, but it also shields your paint from the elements. Think of it as sunscreen for your car. It repels water, prevents sun damage, and guards against contamination. Tip number 5 is for those pesky, hard to reach areas. Ever notice that dust accumulating in the air vents or grime building up in the crevices of your console? A soft bristle brush will come in handy. They can dislodge dirt from these tiny nooks and crannies. And finally, tip number 6, let's talk about windows and mirrors, the eyes of your car. When cleaning your windows and mirrors, always use a glass cleaner and make sure you're working in the shade. The sun can dry the cleaner too quickly, leading to those unwelcome streaks. If you found this valuable and you want to learn more, go to my profile and click the link.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say success. What's the words? Fail and what, Sean? Success?
Pass and fail.
Pass. Yeah, definitely pass. But it's really just generic information. I could shoot holes in every one of those, and it's not really about shooting holes. It'd be more about adding additional clarity to the moment. So I don't remember all his different tips because I was kind of, chiming in over the first part of it when he was cleaning the wheels, I believe. I didn't really hear what he's saying there, but for example, the detailing clay, spot on. Do you have to use a lubricant? Well, you need to use something, but does it have to be a dedicated lubricant? No, it doesn't.
No.
Will it prevent scratching? It'll help prevent it to some degree, but using the clay bar is always going to and do some type of scratching in virtually every case. But I hate saying that because, for example, when people think of scratching, they come to these crazy ideas of like, oh my gosh, I don't want to scratch my paint. It's like, well, we would have to define what scratching means. Not going to go into that right in this moment. So I'm going to say that he basically passed on every one of those. Any commentary on my part would be adding additional strategy or clarity. Like, do you have to use a dedicated window cleaner? No, you don't. Can I perform with distilled water like I can a dedicated window cleaner? Yeah, I can. How can I do that? Well, I picked the right cloth. What's the right cloth? What I consider to be the right cloth would be a microfiber waffle weave cloth that's only used for windows. And I can finesse distilled water or just tap water as well as any window cleaner. So that's all. So in simple terms, that guy gets a pass.
All right, I was like,
What did
Pro
you see
tip
that
for
you
all
wanted
my
to...
beginner detailers.
was
Is that the same video?
No, different video.
Okay, so are we moving on?
Yeah.
Yeah, wet towel, dry towel. Exactly, Jason Smith. Because I was going to add, like, someone would say, like, oh, so Darren, you're telling me that your basic tap water is going to break down greasy fingerprints or dog saliva or dried ice cream that your kid got on the windows. It's like, well, it could, but see, I don't attempt to clean windows if they still have that kind of grime on it. So literally, most of that grime is water soluble. So I will take a wet towel, Jason Smith, like you pointed out, which is not just a wet towel, it's a wet microfiber. And I will pre-clean the windows and eliminate any, for example, if I've detailed the whole inside, because I will do my windows at the very end, I've detailed the whole inside, I'll have some overspray of my cleaner on the windows, and there might be some additional finger marks or grime or whatever on the windows. So I'm gonna take my damp microfiber towel, wipe down all the windows inside and out, removes 99% of all the dust, dirt, smudges, whatever. Then I would take a separate cloth, and if you want to keep it as simple as Jason, which is really what I was saying, is like I can do it with basic tap water, even though I prefer distilled water. Then now I'm just going to take those windows to that last 1% of perfection, and I'm going to use water and a waffle weave microfiber towel, and I guarantee that my windows will be every bit as clean as the next professional guy or non-professional guy that wants to use a dedicated window cleaner. So there's that.
All right, cool. So, well, these videos are they're really short.
Okay.
Trying to take their details to the next level. A steam cleaner
Fail.
will be your absolute best friend when it comes to cleaning interior.
You know why? Because he's using a
It will
steamer.
make all your details 10x faster and give a
In
much
my
deeper
opinion,
clean.
steamers are
My
about
favorite
one of
way
the
to
biggest
use it is
waste
as a
of
blowout
time and
tool
money.
and to melt out gunk from small cracks and
I
crevices.
mean, they make for good
Gone are the
videos.
days of endlessly scrubbing
Never
with a
mind that he
detail brush
shot
to clean
all
out
that
those
hot
hard-to-reach
steam into
spots.
the air vents.
Can't
Sean,
argue
do you
with the
remember that
results.
when that was kind of the thing on
Yeah.
Instagram? Like I said at the beginning, I don't watch any TikTok. But do you remember when that was a thing when Instagram became so popular? So every detailer felt the need to bust out their steamer and shoot it directly into the air vents and then watch the steam come out the other air vents. And you're like, oh, wow, that's cool. It's like, okay, but cool in what context? Cool as in a detailer, as in you just saturated your customers' cars' interior vents with hot, damp steam. That's cool. I don't think that's cool. Is it cool because it makes a cool video? Yeah, thumbs up on that. It's a cool video. But as far as the professional world, hell no. I'm not going to shoot hot steam directly into the vent system and do so much of it that it's going to come out the other side. And then secondly, if you've never used a steamer, you have no idea how much water it still leaves behind. Sean, did you ever use mine?
No, but I have one.
Oh, you do? Okay. So you know what I'm talking about as far as
Yep.
like whatever they show in videos. To me, it's such a misrepresentation because they don't show, like, for example, you've got that picture up of the TikTok video, those cup holders there, and they'll show often guys using a steamer to blow out all the dirt and grime. First off, the steamer's not going to just blow out like dried food and chunks that have been there for months and months and possibly years. Will eventually? Yeah, eventually. But in the meantime, you've got a cup holder that's now halfway filled with water, because that's how much water that actually comes out those tips. Yeah, it comes out in the form of vapor, but it's still a unwanted amount of liquid water, which is kind of redundant, but I'm just saying liquid water versus vapor water. Would you concur, Sean, or do you have a different opinion?
No, I think there's a waste of time. But TikTok is all about entertaining people.
Yeah, it's performance detailing. It's not really true tips that you could then go out into the real world and be efficient and effective with them. It's all about just performance. So I'm going to give that one a big fat fail.
A couple auto detailing tips. Never pour directly into your spray container.
No.
Always use a measuring cup to precisely dilute your product.
Wow, what a concept.
Get a detailing brush and interior scrub pad to help make the job easier.
Okay, this is definitely AI generated.
You will be using to clean the interior.
Yeah.
This will
And I
help
mean the
out
voice.
a lot. Just don't get them too wet. Always remove
just
the floor
don't get
mats
them
in a hot
too wet.
style to prevent trash and debris from falling back into the vehicle. Spraying
Whoa,
directly
wow.
onto the panel is not
Let's go to another one. This was kind of lame.
That was
After
terrible.
detailing over 100 cars, here are some tips to speed up your process. Using an air compressor combined with a blowout tool is going to cut down on your interior time. Don't cheap out on interior cleaners. Get yourself a good interior cleaner. And
Okay,
a
he
good
keeps
leather
talking about
cleaner. You don't
interior,
have to
but he
sit there
keeps
scrubbing
working
and
on the
wasting time.
exterior.
Interiors alone are where so many people
I mean, am I
lose
the only
time.
one picking that up?
Yeah, I think he
Why is
messed
he?
up on that
He
one.
keeps referencing the interior, not just once, but multiple times, while simultaneously doing nothing but working on the exterior. Okay, this is just someone trying to, I don't know, get likes on TikTok, in my opinion. I'm gonna give that a big fat fail.
I'm trying to find one that's like a real one.
Real
If you're
one.
looking to start your own
Good luck
car
with
detailing
that.
business, here are the 3 most important things you need. Now, if you don't want to handpick all the dirt out of the car you're working on, you should invest in a good shop vacuum. Now, try not to
Wow,
cheap out on getting your
Sean!
first vacuum.
Oh my
Just do your
gosh, who
research.
would have thought of that? Because I would have sat there and picked out all those granules by hand, and this guy just told me I can do it with a shop vac. Did you know that, Sean?
I did not know, but thank you for sharing.
This guy should label his stuff genius, not that other guy.
Search and find one that is
At what
most
point are
effective for your
everyone going to
budget.
get tired of my
Second are
sarcasm?
microfiber towels.
They're not.
These towels are like the backbone of detailing, as they
And by the
absorb
way,
so much
people
dirt
that are
and dust
watching,
and can be
feel
used for
free to
basically
say, yeah,
everything in
Darren, we
detailing.
get it,
And
sarcasm.
lastly are your chemicals.
These guys all
When you're
suck,
starting out,
but
it could seem overwhelming. to
oh,
how many
there's our
different chemicals
famous
there are,
soft
but don't let that
bristle
bother you.
brush so we don't
All you
damage
really
the
need when you're just
sensitive
starting
components
out
of
is
the
some good
car
all-purpose
while
cleaner and a good fabric
simultaneously
cleaner.
not
The rest
damaging
you
the
can get as
dirt
you
that
go
we
on.
actually want to remove.
Hopefully this video was helpful to you. And if
Oh,
you did
yeah,
find
that
it
video was
helpful,
so
follow for
helpful.
more detailing tips.
These guys
Oh,
are.
we'll definitely
are-
follow you. What's that?
These guys are glorified mobile washers, or they're not like. Remember we talked.
Honestly, Sean, I would say, I mean, I get your point,
Yeah.
but I would say most, at least what you've shown me, are people that are just trying to, like, I don't know how to monetize on TikTok. I suspect you can. Is that,
Yeah.
do you know if that's correct?
Yeah, but you need a lot of followers, and the pay is it's not good. The way you get paid on this thing is sponsors.
Yeah. So my point is that's my opinion, is that these people pull video off the internet, that they're not actually doing it, and then they just do their own voiceover, which is either their voice or they just, like the couple that we saw were AI generated voiceovers.
Yeah.
Because it's mostly garbage information. So they're just trying to build up their following, and they're basically just like look at the comments. What brand are those detailing brushes from? Like, dude, like go to Amazon. There's about 10,000 varieties of those brushes. It doesn't really matter. The real point is it's not going to work. Like, I use those brushes, but I use those to dust away dust, dry dust, not to actually clean components because it proved massively ineffective. Like, for example, this comment, I'm reading it, risky hustling MN, I don't know. I think it would be more effective to use Bohr's brush than soft brush. By the way, Bohr's brush is soft brush. Like, that's redundant. So now you've got some inexperienced knucklehead posting this video of watered down, generic, bad information. And then you've got some second knucklehead that wants to chime in and say, oh, no, I think you should use Bohr's hair. Like, oh my gosh, this is why I get so frustrated in this industry, which is pervasive in every industry.
Yeah,
Trust me, it's not. Go ahead.
It's all about showing off about who has the newest product. It's like cars. Like people who lease a Mercedes, and every couple of years they get a new one.
Yeah.
It's all about showing off.
Yeah. So, we're coming up to 46 minutes, Sean.
Yeah.
And like, you've just now raised my blood pressure because I actually do care about this stuff.
Right.
Because it's frustrating to me because I know that people don't know. When you're a beginner, you're just so vulnerable to, you don't know how to weed through bad information versus good information. And because I do care, it just like makes my blood pressure go up watching this garbage, which is why, as a rule, I don't go onto TikTok or Instagram. I mean, honestly, in most ways, and that's the nature of the beast, which is if you actually know what you're doing, you're probably doing it. And if you're doing it, you're probably getting paid for it. And if you're doing it well, you're probably getting paid really well to do it. And if you are doing all that in the context of detailing, you probably don't have time to go onto TikTok and post your videos because you're doing something well and you're getting well paid to do it. And therefore, if all of that is true, you probably don't have a shortage of customers. And if you don't have a shortage of customers, then you're not going to have a shortage of time. Therefore, you're not probably going to have time to produce these videos, because I lived it and I didn't have time because I was very busy. But I thought, I've got to make the time. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to help out these beginners that definitely need help. So I had to just prioritize my life differently and say, you know what, just like you do, Sean. I mean, you can relate to this.
Yep.
You work a full-time job, and here you are on the weekend, just like me. Like in ways, I think like, well, what am I doing here, Darren? It's Saturday afternoon. I actually went to the beach all day. It was not ideal weather at the beach, but here in sunny Southern California, it was still better than most days. And so, but here I am Saturday night trying to help and spread good knowledge versus bad knowledge. So anyhow, I was trying to think if there's something we could close with that would decompress my blood pressure a little bit.
Well, something we can close with is telling the audience that if they want to send us videos or pictures, remember, to this email address.
Okay, well, do you want to share with them what you shared with me as far as that?
Okay.
Like that banner at the bottom, you've got your email address.
Right. So if you guys want to send emails here of pictures or videos of you guys auto detailing or anything to do with auto detailing, we can we'll put it in the channel, we'll review it. Well, Darren will.
Okay, yeah. So this is what you and I were talking about earlier, which you did say that. I didn't know which part you were going to lean into. So Sean, and actually this was Sean's idea, he thought we could have you guys, because we accept that a lot of you guys are here just to gather information so you can use it on your own car. But there's going to be a lot of guys that eventually come into here that are either wanting to start their own business, and so they're practicing, or they have just recently started their business and they're looking to, dial up their game a little bit. And so what we thought is that you guys could send in pictures or little video clips that we could review and possibly critique. It depends on why you're sending in your material to us. Maybe you want to say, hey, Darren and Sean, can you guys take a look at my setup? and see if you see any holes in my setup or things that I need or ways I could be more efficient. Maybe you want to shoot a little 30-second clip of how you maybe clean the face of a wheel using your brushes, your scrub brush for the tire sidewall, and then you hose it down like this, and maybe you want us to critique it and offer some additional tips. So you guys can send those. If you look at that banner that's scrolling from left to right at the bottom of the screen, email us at, there it is, blue.tech.studios@gmail.com. Is that what you were headed, where you were headed, Sean?
Yes, and also make sure that if you guys want us to say your name or not, or your business, or
Oh, yes.
yeah, remember?
Yeah, so you tell us, guys and girls. I actually have consulted a few female detailers in my years, so they do exist. But yeah, if you want to remain anonymous, then I guess you don't have to send any intel with it. But if you'd like a shout out with your name, your business name, maybe, whatever, then you would include that along with your pictures or your video. How'd I do, Sean?
Perfect.
Cool. So let's stop there. And thanks all you party people who decided to tune into us tonight. And you can look for us again next Saturday night, same bat channel, same bat time. Sound like a